Nits, Jerry is a longtime veteran of tournament Scrabble for many decades.
Oh, wait, haven't you made like videos about him on your amazing, fantastic channel that everyone should subscribe to?
Thank you. What a great question, and what great details you added to that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've made a couple videos about Jerry. One where he pulls off an absolutely incredible comeback against possibly, if it's not Wellington Jiggeray, it's Dave Wiegand, who I would consider to be the favorite in the Collins division. I know there's so many other strong players. I hate to even narrow it down to two. You got Austin Shin. You've got a whole bunch of other players who are incredibly strong. But Jerry once beat Dave Wiegand in a game where he had to win by 195. He won by something like 205 with the aid of a time penalty. One of the craziest wins I've ever seen. And then, of course, a more bittersweet video about Jerry missing his winning play that would have secured him a North American championship. And I just thought the way he handled that was one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen in Scrabble. The emotional fortitude that he had in the wake of that. And of course, if you're in a position where you are one play away from winning the North American Championship, you've done something very, very right. So, Jerry, an incredible career. But Nigel Peltier, of course, he shares the name with everybody's favorite bearded legend. But Nigel has an incredible career in his own right. He has a knack for cashing at these big championship level events over and over. He's really one of the most consistent players on the scene in North America.
I love that. Isn't it incredible? I mean, what you said about Jerry Lerman also applies to Mac Meller and his recent showdown at SBC just a few days ago, where both the players were just one word away from either winning or losing the tournament. And it was crazy the way that it played out.
Yeah, that was incredible. As it's been mentioned a couple of times, I'm battling through this stream. I feel pretty good right now, but I do have a case of COVID right now that I'm working through. And I can tell you that if I didn't, I would already have done tens of 50, whatever, 10, 15, 20 hours of work on a video about the recently concluded Scrabble Players Championship. That was potentially the most electrifying finals match I have ever seen in Scrabble. So video on that is definitely coming. But first, we got to focus on this incredible event in the Word Cup. Maybe I can get to it after that. So there's no question that's couldn't ask for a better video topic than that matchup between Mac Meller and Ian Weinstein. I'm just really excited eventually to dive into that content.
I think so are your viewers. But right now, let's see what Nigel gets out of the bag.
Yeah, Nigel going first here. Players are all packed those tiles into the bag, and it'll be Nigel going first in this matchup. So let's see what he draws to start things off. I feel that this is a pretty even matchup between two very strong veteran players, and I'm really excited to see how things play out.
I think so. I think it would be really interesting if there were any vowels to speak of.
Ouch. Here.
Yeah. Yikes.
Rough.
I mean, just cry in more than just one sense?
Yeah, funny that the self-descriptive cry is maybe the best play that you can put on the board. Maybe dry is a little bit better to undouble one of the Ds, but I definitely expect to see Nigel exchanging tiles here. Dry, leaving CDVZ is just so awkward. The only question in my mind is, does Nigel keep the Z on his exchange, which is kind of a tricky question on a rack, on a board position that has a little bit more available in terms of scoring spots and scoring opportunities. The Z would be a slam dunk, especially if you could look at a spot where it plays well. But in the early going, it's possible that Nigel will elect to throw the Z back into the bag and go for that first bingo. So either way, it's very much a toss-up to me, Nits. I don't know if you have an instinct on what you would keep on an exchange here.
I mean, he's definitely considering it. I mean, there's a case to be made for CR. I do like DZ. I think it's great. It's probably not as flexible as it would be perhaps in the international lexicon with the Z making a lot more words, but this gives him a lot of scoring opportunities next time. I like it. I'm a fan. I think, he's good to go. Uh, okay. It appears that phone has come down quite quickly for Jerry. I like this play just because it gets him 30 whole points. He's keeping BI. I mean, it's a perfectly okay leave for something that scores as many points as he does. Please, please excuse us as we get Will back on the stream. And we're working to see what Nigel is going to play now. He's got the vowels that he needed, and that's fun. And as Will comes back, I'm gonna make sure to walk you guys through this. A great play for Nigel perhaps might be just Zoil through the E and phone for just 36 points. It's a great move that scores a lot. But he could also just play Zoya and keep that L for next turn. He's got himself a hook that he can play there. However, I wouldn't mind if he just put that L down. We've got Will back with us in the booth, though, so Will, give me your opinion on Zoya or Zoil here for Nigel. What do you think?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, sorry everybody. I had some kind of technical issue that hopefully is all set now. So, yeah, I guess the idea is Zoe through this. Oh, hold on. Let me make that look a lot better. So, Zoe right here. So, the idea is what to do with that L. Do you tack it on for 3 more points? I think because Zoe is so flexible as a hook, I would probably like to tack the L on just because the odds are so good that Jerry has a hook that he can use to score well. Not only that,
Absolutely. I feel the same.
yeah, you would keep if you leave the L off, you're holding 3 consonants and just 1 vowel, which is a little bit lopsided. I might kind of like the 2-to-1 ratio instead, especially if you're telling me I get 3 more points in the bargain. So I think it's very close. And Nigel is going to play Zoe. That lines up with our instinct Nits. I like that idea from him.
I think so too. And unfortunately, Jerry's got himself 3 eyes, which is 1 more eye than any human needs. And in Scrabble, definitely 2 more than he needs. I wonder if he's thinking of just playing Alibi through the L and Zoil, except it's just come down on the board. So this would be a good time for Jerry to perhaps consider exchanging. I don't think he needs to jump to that yet, though. I think something like Iliac or Alibi would be just fine, I think. Well, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, Alibi through that L is so uninspiring, but 7 points. I mean, you hate to score 7 points. But it seems like the only real way to get rid of 2 of those 3 eyes here, I guess you could play Bialy in the same spot. Yeah, so those plays are, they look weak, but I definitely think they're called for here with the 3 eyes on the rack. There's really no other play that seems to be worth it. Looks like he's getting ready to do that with the way his
Yeah,
letters are arranged on his rack there. So,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. I'd kill for a Bialy right about now. I mean, they're pretty tasty. I had one like very recently. They're great. Alibis are also great as long as you have great friends. But get rid of those eyes. Just like they're not your friend at this point. You're not going to be able to make a lot of fun words that are going to score you a lot of points. You're unlikely to bingo very well. I think Jerry should come down with Alibi pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he's waiting just a minute, potentially because he's thinking maybe, just maybe, there's something through this N if he can just come up with something ending in IC, like alabinic or something like that. You never know what might be lurking there, but Jerry is going to be dead on by playing alibi and hope to get something better going forward.
Yeah.
He's going to play
Oh,
Biz instead. So
wow.
he gets 7 more points here, but he does run the risk of drawing vowels and having his quest for bingoing be delayed one more turn. So let's see what Jerry draws. If he draws consonants, he'll be just fine. And
We are in
wow, RS. He should be all good now.
we are in the same boat that we were last game with Joey and Jackson, where the blanks came out nice and early. So Nigel's going to play a bingo quite quickly here, I imagine, or at least very easily. There's common word bingos in here that I would really encourage chat to find. I think, I think this is going to be an interesting game based on how it develops with the blanks gone so early.
Yeah, for sure. So Nigel with that first blank and Jerry with the second. It feels like Jerry might work out slightly better in the bargain in terms of the amount of points scored. Nigel can only score in the 60s right here. Something like this uttered in that spot. Maybe he'll opt to play something like unleaded through this L. Either way, it seems very likely that Jerry will do better by responding with that nice SRC combination. So I guess a lot will hinge on Nigel's next draw. If he draws something good, he can stay one step ahead. But this is a good opportunity for Jerry to take a small lead in this game.
Absolutely. And I guess it's time for Nigel to kind of consider what BIZ, the play of Biz, really means for what his opponent is holding. Because Uttered really just lets out so many tiles onto the board, just absolute floaters for Jerry to play through. So is BI a fish? Is it just Jerry dumping one of his eyes, which is what we know it was? He's got to think this through about which bingo is the best.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. I think one of the best things that he could do here would not be to wait uh, too long to make his next play. Given that he has pretty much all 58 to 61 point bingos, the worst thing he could do would be to spend like 3 more minutes here thinking hard. But I guess it's fair to say that the N of phone, or maybe the F, right? These would be by far the best plays if you could find something ending in N or starting in N or starting in F. And it actually looks kind of like there should be something starting with F here, and it would be so far the better play if it existed. But Nigel's going to pull the trigger on this, which is actually his highest scoring move. So yeah, I mean, he's done a good job getting through this turn as fast as possible. Well, maybe not as fast as possible, but pretty fast. And now it's just up to Jerry to find something strong through these nice open letters that are getting floated.
Absolutely. I wonder if unleaded for one fewer point may not have been slightly better just to give back fewer floaters. I don't know what you think about that. But Jerry's going to be able to play quite a few bingos here. He just needs to find the one that works best for him, either in terms of strategy and tactics or just the score. And here I would also recommend the chat to see if they could find the highest scoring bingo. It is a common word in the English lexicon.
That's right. So that good question for the chat of what word Jerry might have, that 7-letter word. I think Jerry is probably going to go a different direction just for a couple more points. It's actually, boy, this is tricky. First of all, there are now so many letters open between the T, E, R, and D. These are all phenomenal bingo tiles. Already there was the F. That would probably be the best move if there was a word down from the F. But yeah, Jerry has one bingo more than 70 points, which is triacids through this D. But man, I would be very reluctant to play this word because it opens up this top triple as well as this spot, which could potentially be damaging. And I just feel like I would be a little bit scared to play that, even if it got a few more points here. So, what to do for Jerry? This is tough. He might take a long time on this turn, Nits.
I think he might be coming close to his decision. The thing is, he does have to permutate. You know, he has to go through every single alphabet in, you know, he has to go through every letter in the alphabet, my bad. And then he has to figure out, well, okay, which bingo do I have? Where does it fit? And what does it play through? Because now he has so many options, as you mentioned. We do, however, know from our booth that his highest scoring word would be piracies through the E in uttered, making the blank a P. That would be piracies. But he has so many other options that he's going to have to figure out what he's going to do here, especially since, well, he doesn't know this, but Nigel has drawn really well from that bag. And that is incredible.
Yeah, Nigel has drawn a word through this E that if Jerry manages not to block it, the somewhat unfortunately named Rapeseed here would score in the 90s on this turn. So that would be funny too, because it makes a G hook going across, I believe. But I do feel like Jerry stands a very strong chance of blocking it through this E. The problem for Jerry is that there is another one available too. So Nigel is looking at bingoing almost no matter what on his next turn. I'm just trying to figure out what would I do even if I saw all of the bingos available to me here. I might play Triassic here. This would be a play that you could make that doesn't really offer much back. I believe this would just be an adjective, so no hooks there. It scores 67. It doesn't open any triples back to Nigel the way Triacids does or Piracies does. So maybe that's what I would pick if I knew every single one. Oh, it looks like the G hook is Collins only, so there's no need to worry about that here. Sorry about that. Thanks to Wes in the chat. And all right, we're going to see Carditis, which is another pretty solid option, Nits. I like it.
Me too. Good on him. I think I see I have made a mistake. I forgot that Nigel changed the position of the word uttered, and I've been looking at a completely different board in my
No
analysis.
worries.
My apologies.
No
I must have
worries.
given you guys such a scare. Being like, oh, yeah, chat, you can totally spot this.
No, I mean, I think you basically get. I didn't notice you saying anything awry. So yeah, Carditis is the play here for Jerry. Nicely done. This doesn't really give much back to Nigel in the form of, you know, easy giant places to bingo. I guess it does not obstruct this triple, but that's not really that bad given that this is an R. You can't put high scoring consonants in there. So this makes a lot of sense. And I think we're going to see Nigel have a decision to make between positions of spreader. I'm really thinking that's likely. He could play re-spaded to this D, but that just looks a little bit foolhardy with such an easy, powerful overlap to give up. I think spreader is likely to be Nigel's play here.
Absolutely. How about just rapeseed through the E in uttered, so right before that last D in uttered? How about that?
He is going to play re-spaded after all. So taking the 2 extra points, maybe embracing the volatility here. That's surprising, but I like the boldness on his part. I think I would play for 76 instead of 78, but he's going for it. And I don't even know if Jerry can really punish it that hard. I guess he could play Talkie here, which is quite strong. 51 points with that response. So we're going to see right away the big scoring spot of re-spaded going to get used if Jerry can spot that 50-pointer.
And I guess that's why you don't really choose to open that spot up. However, he did do this thing that we were talking about in the last stream where he gave himself the opportunity to hit one of the triple words should his opponent take the other. So I am not sure what Nigel was considering in terms of the positioning of his bingo, but if he was doing it so that he'd still have the capacity to play on one of the triple words, he does have that. He has drawn an E out of the bag after Talkie goes down. He's still going to be able to play to the right of re-spaded if he wants to.
Look at Jerry holding Alley Cat. That is a Collins only word. I wonder if he was going to go ahead and try that in this North American game. That would
Oh,
have given Nigel a very difficult decision. Does he challenge this really normal looking word in alley cat? But I don't think there is an open E for him here.
I don't see one, but tally would also be a perfectly fine play. It's just fewer points. Um, I imagine Jerry does know the word talkie. He's just going through the motions. He's just looking for his. There we go. He's about to put. Oh,
Now
he's
he's
spotted.
showing that he sees actually on his rack, but again, no open U. So he was wishing that, for example, this R of uttered would be one of those letters, but maybe he should be careful what he wishes for because alley cat, not a valid word. So tally for 45, maybe a slight wish that Jerry would play talkie instead for 6 more points, but this is certainly a very strong play for Jerry as he gets very close on the scoreboard again. And Nigel's tiles are a lot of, low pointers. No bingos playable here. And this is going to be a tough turn, Nits.
Yeah, he did draw the E that he would have needed to play to the right of respaded, but I don't think there's anything there that he's going to be able to play that's respectable here. So, I mean, what about something like, this is so annoying, but like, what about something like eulogy to the Y in tally to get rid of some of that gunk, I guess?
That's a very reasonable choice. A play like that depends a lot to me about what is the composition of the unseen tiles, specifically the E. If there are a lot more E's to come, I would be very eager to play eulogy, realizing that by playing 5 tiles, the odds of you drawing another E are quite good. In this case, I feel like the number of E's is about what you would expect. So maybe I would try to keep it if at all possible, but eulogy also looks like a really good option. It even just clears off all of that clunk from Nigel's rack. So I do like it. One other idea that's kind of nice is rugosa right here through this R and S. That would be a really, really flashy way to keep ELS on his rack, which is maybe the best leave that he can keep from those tiles. Scoring only 16 points, but I wouldn't quibble with eulogy here at all.
Not to be like, that's utterly insane, but that is an utterly insane find. I mean, if Nigel gets that down, I mean, we've got to erect statues to people by now, right? Like, I mean, that's how it should go logistically, right? I mean, I can see him, like going through his options being like, okay, maybe ague and buys, maybe glue and buys, maybe eulogy to the Y, but Rugosa, that is something else. That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to even overemphasize it too much. I don't think eulogy is that much worse, if at all. It's just an option. If Nigel wants to keep an E on his rack, he can do it here while also scoring at least a decent number of points. It's been pointed out in the chat by Chloe Fatsis. She of the recent top 5 finish at the SPC, an incredible performance, tractate through this A of carditis. If Jerry spots it, would be an incredible way to use those 3 T's. Otherwise, a clunky looking rack, he could actually bingo with it here, which would be a huge swing if he spots it. So big swing here. Of course, Rugosa, we know this. Nigel can't know it. I think that would block tractate. So even more reason to play it, but that is very, very much our privileged position in the booth. The players over the board cannot possibly be thinking about stuff like that. If you're playing Rugosa, you're not doing it to block. You're doing it to keep an E on your rack. Anything that it happens to block would be an extra bonus. So, yeah, we'll see. Oh, man, a good point, though, Nits, that maybe Jerry has set up a tracked E on his rack, one who is attracted. Is he going to try to play that through the AE on the board? And wow, really interesting play by
Oh my
Nigel too.
gosh.
Foul. What a crazy play on his part. Setting up his
What is that?
S.
Wow. Okay, well, what does that even... Okay, I guess now I have to, as his opponent, I would have to ask myself, what does that suggest about his rack. And I mean, why on earth would someone do that unless they have a hook, they have the S? I mean, Jerry's going to be forced to block that.
Yeah, that's crazy to do. Of course, we know that if Jerry's going to play a track D, then Nigel is very likely to challenge it off. Jerry has track date as his clear best play no matter what. I don't think he can worry too much about this S hook, especially because it's not even that damaging. It would be one thing if the S hook was here, for example, or hold on, let me just say right here, so that a 7-letter bingo ending in S would play here. But foul makes it so that the S hook isn't even that damaging. Yes, you can get hit sometimes with plays here, and maybe sometimes you draw into bingos starting with S, but often you whiff. So I think I would, if I'm Jerry, I would not overreact to this S hook that much. And hopefully, I'm just curious, is he going to go for a Oh, now I think he sees
Oh,
tractate.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think he's going to get this down, and then it's up to Nigel to come back. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a small possibility that he didn't see. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
If he did not
no.
see tractate, playing caddy instead. He was so close, though. He just had it lined up on his rack. He was so close.
Yeah, tough one. So he correctly chooses not to play a track D through the A and E on the board as a 9-letter word, but he lets tractate get past him. Fortunately, though, caddy placing the C out in space makes it impossible for Nigel to play any of his 7-letter bingos on his rack, like menages. That doesn't fit thanks to the C. Any other consonant, any other reasonable consonant, and you're seeing Nigel bingo here. In fact, Nigel has a pretty cool option here, maybe his best choice, or at least a competitive option, a very difficult one to see, though, Nits. Tallymen
Oh my
right
god.
here would be a really, really cool choice for him here. So let's see if
Incredible.
he spots that. That would be crazy to see go down.
That would be incredible. If Tallyman or Tallyman does not come down, though, I mean, I'm trying to imagine, what does one do? Do you just fish off, for example, the E? Do you just make buys and hope for the best and just hope that there's enough floaters on this board, there's enough places on this board that you can still bingo next time? Or, I mean,
Buys
is there something even better?
Buys make sense. You're keeping a lot of other good tiles. I've got something even crazier for you, Nits. What about ME right here
Oh my
and
god,
be foul? This
that's
would be
crazy.
absolutely bonkers. Not only are you majorly increasing the value of your S hook in case you draw something there, you're also setting up your E hook with eam. And the E is something that you would hold on your rack even after using one of your two E's. So me and be foul looks phenomenal if you're not going to see Tallyman here. And Jerry's got a Q. I don't think he can really do much to address it there unless he's willing to sacrifice a lot of equity. So a lot of interesting options here for Nigel. His clock is dwindling a little bit. I would like to see him try to play it a little bit faster. And ooh,
Ooh.
what's he going for
Oh.
here?
Uh,
Remanages. Oh,
Manages.
what an interesting
Whoa.
idea. This is such a plausible looking word, but I would be astonished if Jerry doesn't challenge this. This is
Oh my
not in the
gosh.
dictionary, no matter how plausible it looks. Great find by Nigel to even consider this. He's drawing his tiles. I wonder if Jerry is just
Oh
going to
my
let it
god.
stay or not. Huge swing in the game here.
I am just, wow. I am taken aback. That was a disco 9, a disconnected 9 with a blank R. That was incredible. Who does that? I mean, it looks so plausible, like you said. And I don't know if Jerry's challenging. He looks like he's tracking his
He's
entire.
not. He's not. So Nigel with a bold, bold bluff, and it pays off in a huge way for him here. Totally
Wow.
plausible looking word, but wow, crazy on Nigel's part.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Jerry knows he could lose his turn if he challenges, and it is valid. I mean, he's got to play. Oh, that's so tough. I mean, this challenger will really really hammers home like your word knowledge. You have to be certain. You really have to be certain.
Yeah, and there's definitely a little bit of respect happening there too. I mean, Nigel Peltier, one of the stronger players on the scene in North America, has been really a top finisher at basically nationals after nationals, events like the World Cup that are sort of championship level in stature. As we see, Jerry dumps off just that cue, keeping a bunch of other good letters together. But Nigel's going to have his crack at that open S at the bottom of the board if he wants it. He actually
But
has a
also,
bunch of other good plays elsewhere on the board too.
yeah, oh my gosh, he has the E that he needed for the right side of the board. Oh my gosh, he's got a really, really powerful play there. Fantastic. He's totally gonna find that.
So, yeah, question for Nigel. He's up by a solid amount, not quite 50 points. He, excuse me, he can play Xenia right here at the top of the board for 50 points. Or he can play the same word here for 39 in a much more defensive way. And we can see from Jerry's rack that he has Fortress ready to go down through this S. So it's a very big swing of what Nigel chooses to do. It's going to be very interesting stylistically. Does he take the 11 extra points, reasoning that the game is just close enough to warrant it? Or does he go ahead and block off that S at a cost of 11 points? First of all, seeing this play isn't that easy either. He may only see this spot, which would make
That's
his
true.
life a lot easier to decide.
That's fair. What about okay? So in the same vein as Tallyman, what about just tallying? He's got the ing. He would score about 36, and he'd attempt his best at kind of blocking any triple going down. It's not going to stop Fortress, but what would you think about that?
That's another good option. It at least has the benefit of blocking the worst case scenarios through the S that just end the game on the spot, hitting the two triples. But we can see that he's gone with the highest scoring version. I have to say, a great find on his part to get 50 points in that upper corner. But I do expect Jerry to find a bingo, whether it be Fortress, or if he can't spot that, which I would be surprised, he'll at least play Fosterer here, or reforest through this E of remanages. So Jerry is very, very, very likely to be bingoing here. The only question is, how good of a play does he see, and what does Nigel draw? And you can see some pretty good scoring tiles on Nigel's rack there.
Absolutely. Oh, and it's coming down. Good. Yeah, great find. Great find on his part. Really well done. Ooh, I wonder about that positioning though, because that O is right under that triple letter score. That's going to give back quite a bit for any like friendly or like high scoring tile.
Wow, that's so interesting, because he could push this word over one square to avoid making this big J spot. We can see that Nigel has the J, but because of the North American dictionary, a lot of the moves that you guys may be seeing don't necessarily go down, but there is one newly added word that's still going to fit there.
Oh,
And
nice.
Nigel has to come up with that. With these new words, it can sometimes be tricky to spot them under duress. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't play. Yahe would be AF. Okay, never
Oh
mind.
no. We were
Sorry.
so excited. It's okay.
Yeah.
He still has he still has oh no, I don't think he has anything that goes up there.
Wow, look at Jerry's draw, too, with all those eyes.
Oh no. He just got
Yikes.
rid of them too. Like he just got rid of them like 6 moves ago.
So yeah, no big J play available through this O, as tantalizing as it looks to Nigel. He does have a number of good plays with those with that rack, such as J right here. That's going to score quite well. Even better than that might be DJ right here through this E. That would be an incredible play. But note that Nigel's clock is a little low. He's going to have to start making some moves fast. And I could easily see him play J, just because it seems like such an obvious good play. You can't afford to wait.
And honestly, I can't fault him for that. It's a perfectly fine play. It's a good lead. He's good to go. I I think he should just put it down. I think he should conserve his time where he can. And I say this as someone who like consistently goes over time, and I need to do better at taking care of my clock. But yeah, this is a good move. He should go ahead, press the clock, move on.
Yeah, it's a solid play for sure. It gives him another good sized lead in this game. And really, Jerry is in a bit of a bind here. He's not going to have a very good play on this next turn. It's going to be next to impossible for him to both get rid of two of his three eyes and score any kind of points. So, one more good draw for Nigel, as we see the names get reversed there. Thank you very much. One more good draw here for Nigel, and he's going to be in the driver's seat here.
I do see that Jerry could play something like Vinnick to the C in Carditis. But the problem with something like that is Jerry's behind, and I can't imagine him wanting to put a V out in space there where you could potentially bingo. So, what are the chances of Jerry actually going down with that? Because I see him putting Tiki off to the side. Perhaps he's planning on playing Tiki with a T in Caddy. What would you do here, Will? Would you do Vinnick for like, getting rid of it and clearing your rack, or Tiki and keep that V?
Yeah, this is brutal for Jerry. There's no real way to accomplish everything that you want. I think Tiki is about as good as he can do. You have a chance, at least, with this leave of VNAI. Maybe sometimes you can draw bingos in, maybe you draw something ending in C. It's very unlikely, but it's better than if you were to keep something like IIK on your rack after a play like Navy, which looks pretty good. It scores well, but your odds of bingoing with IIK are next to none. At least sometimes you can get one after Tiki. That being said, I have no idea what I would pick here. I would probably grudgingly play one of Tiki or Navy. Vinnick, as you said, Nits, placing the V out in space is just not something I want to do here.
I mean, I do see one universe, one alternate reality in which Jerry plays Navy, and that's the same reality in which he played Biz, keeping two eyes. So I wonder why he has made this decision this time to not keep those two eyes, unlike the previous time where he was just faced with the same scenario.
Oh, and look at Jerry's draw. He kept the V and he drew the other one out of the bag. Not at all what he's hoping to see. He is still pretty close on the scoreboard. So if you think about it, Nigel has plays like Geoid right here, which I do think he is likely to be looking at this spot right here. Oh, he's going to consider playing Gourd. That has an advantage because there are slightly more consonants than vowels. But that being said, I still like the ER combination a little bit better. And there you see Geoid on the rack. The issue, Nits, is with the G here, maybe sometimes you give up a bingo to Jerry, but in a lot of those cases, you get a triple right back.
That's great analysis. I think Geoid is just enough points that it's worth it. I believe it's 34 points.
Right.
I'd say do it, get the points. At the end of the game, at the end of the day, the point of the game is it's just to score more points than your opponent. And Nigel is well on his way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a brutal situation for Jerry now. Time is running out. The board is significantly worse now. The S's are gone, so there's no hope of even drawing a fouls hook here. So this part of the board is very, very inaccessible. He can play something like Va right here, which looks very solid, getting rid of one of his two Vs and scoring 31 points. But it's agonizing to place a V out in space here when you just know it's next to impossible to end a word with that letter. So this is a real tough situation for Jerry. His winning chances aren't nothing, but they're certainly quite low.
Absolutely. Are there any Vampire Diaries fans out there? Because if the W were an E, we would have Vervain on our rack here, to fend off those vampires that are so pesky and always around at these tournaments and stuff. But yeah, this is a hard turn for him. We have the chat suggesting Viva to the A, perhaps in carditis, and then just hoping. That is definitely something that he could possibly do. Maybe he's looking at Vol right now, or
The interesting thing
Jerry.
about Viva is just that Nigel would have to be very careful if he plays through that I to the triple that he doesn't put a good letter in that square. Maybe Jerry will get an opportunity to play something through the I of Viva and put a good letter there that threatens a realistic lane. Instead, he just goes with Va, which makes a lot of sense. He's pinning as much hope as possible on playing towards the top part of the board. And Nigel, to Jerry's credit, has an absolutely horrendous set of tiles there. It's going to be difficult for Nigel to both obstruct the top of the board and score any kind of number of points here. So I'm not sure what he's going to elect to do, but Jerry does have one last chance to hit a bingo up top. We know he has not done so.
Absolutely. I mean, if Jerry wanted things to play out in a certain way, this is probably one of the better ways that they could be going. Nigel doesn't have a rack that's very friendly towards scoring. He could, I mean, I guess he's probably looking at Hugh right now, the E of remanages, the last E of remanages, that's 29, but the lead is abysmal. And I mean, if Jerry's going to ask for anything, this is the kind of rack he would want Nigel to have right now. Something that is tough to work through.
Yeah, absolutely true. So Nigel looks like he's getting set to play Hugh right here, which makes sense. If you cannot block off this top part of the board, scoring enough points to outrun any bingo that Jerry might have to this C. Remember that if he has a bingo to the C, it's not going to hit this square. It's going to come up just short. So that's not that bad. I guess the worst case scenario is if Jerry somehow has an 8-letter word ending in A, that might hit the double and score enough points to give you a scare. But even then, once Nigel plays Hugh for not quite 30, he's going to go
Oh
up
my
by,
god.
oh, even better.
Oh my
Very
god.
nice. Ruth. Beautiful play by
Whoa.
him. So
That
that's
is
a great
great word finding.
yeah, tremendous. And the thing that's especially good about that play, yes, it leaves 4 vowels, but look at the unseen ratio prior to Jerry's play. It was 4 vowels to 11 consonants unseen to Nigel. So he has a great chance of drawing more consonants from the bag. So,
Ooh.
and there you go,
And
3
he
of
added.
them, one after the other. So
Nice.
nicely done.
What is Jerry to do now? I mean, he's gonna have to pull. I mean, he's gonna have to pull something out of the bag here. I think the way that Nigel was able to find a play as intricate as that is something that's going to help Jerry as well. If we look at the S in carditis, I think there's a play that goes there, something like AMINS, making HM would be fantastic here in terms of getting points and keeping up here.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks like Jerry may be considering a play like Ammons right here, which scores pretty well, but he's really in a world of trouble here. It's going to take, I don't even know what he's supposed to draw here that is going to give him a fighting chance.
What about if he played something like Invar, like INVAR through the A in carditis, and he just gave himself a little bit more breathing room? Would that be? I mean, it doesn't score much, so he really has to bingo. It's gonna be. He's really gonna have to hope to kind of bingo out and catch Nigel with whatever's left on his rack on top of that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's intriguing because it makes a line that's very difficult. I guess it's difficult to it's not that difficult to block. But here's the thing about it, right? If Nigel wants to block it, he can just play something through this N, which will empty the bag. So maybe Jerry can somehow draw something after that, which will actually be a winner. That being said, I just feel like Invar, even though there are 5 in the bag and Invar uses 4 tiles, which is kind of nice to put a little bit of pressure on Nigel, he can't actually make a play without emptying the bag. practically speaking, he's going to play something like bongo through there, which is going to win him the game each and every time. So
Right.
it's tough. I'm not really sure what I would do. I would love to open more space somewhere on the board. Not sure how I would do that. A play like Vino looks really weak. It's going to be next to impossible to hit that V. So yeah, this is a tough one for Jerry. Ultimately, whatever he does whatever he does on this move is not likely to be the decider in this game. I think he's going to look back at the sequence where he played caddy instead of tractate and did not challenge Nigel's bingo of remanages, a great play, which somehow is not in the Scrabble dictionary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you look at remanages and you think, okay, yeah, that is totally a word. It totally has to be. It looks real. Can't hold that against Jerry. It is a 9-letter word, and there, you know, players are unlikely to study 9-letter words as much anyway. They don't come up as often. So for Jerry to just try and find his bingo, to find his best move here is, I think, at least in this case, find his best move would be, I mean, I guess what he could do. I don't really know what he would consider his best move. I guess he's going to fish for the G that is on Nigel's rack right now.
Yeah, maybe a diversion, hoping to draw into something up high. Is he? He's close to like omnivora right now. So now, if Nigel doesn't empty the bag, Jerry could fish off an I and try to draw an O, and then he would have a bingo into this A. All that being said, none of that is very likely, and probably it wouldn't win the game for Jerry. But that is one way that things could play out from here. Nigel's got the G. He can just sit on it and not worry about that spot at all. So yeah, it's an interesting choice by Jerry. I don't really have a better idea. So yeah, we'll just see what Nigel does, and will he give Jerry another chance to fish and try to get that last O?
Oh, he's about to. Oh, there we go. He's about to get his 30 points, and he's about to show Jerry that there was no G to draw from the bag. That's rough.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what Nigel draws, because from Jerry's point of view, it could still be possible to fish an I somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where. I don't know if, just playing alongside the K makes any sense, but if he can draw this O, he will have a bingo into the A of Carditis of Omnivora. So even then, Nigel can either see that, or he can just make a decent scoring play practically anywhere, and he's going to be just fine. So this game appears to be Nigel's, laughing at something in the background, not sure what, but yeah, let's see how things finish up from here.
I have to say, they always exhibit such great composure on stream. It is hard to play on stream. Let us not forget that as good as you are, it is hard to play on stream because there's so many people watching you, and there is a part of your brain that has to be, kind of disconnected from that emotional aspect of it to keep their cool, to be able to continue playing well. It's not always easy. It's not always easy, especially when your opponent comes down with a disco 9.
Yeah, in fact, I would say it's more often very difficult than easy. So yeah, Scrabble is hard. We're watching. We have the aid of a lot of tools and things like that to help us along. Scrabble is really hard to play well, which is what makes it so rewarding when you do see somebody play extremely well, to really appreciate all of the skills that go into that. As Jerry basically giving up here, he plays Vinnick, which was going to work out decently for him because he was never going to draw the O that is on Nigel's rack anyway. So, all right, with a minute left, Nigel has to do his best to come up with a good endgame sequence, and that's going to do it for this game. Nits. A lot of action one way or another in this game.
Does Nigel have an out if he plays something like Weep, making Where and Iron? I'm trying to see.
UNO is a little clunky.
Yeah, that would be very difficult. Perhaps.
Yeah, that's a great spot. I'm not sure. So it looks like he's getting ready to play Unpen. which would go
That's cool.
through this N right here and give him a pretty flexible set of letters in OWE. Either he's going to go out with something like that just by playing O, or he can even just play his W here for even more points. So that looks pretty good, but he's actually going to find his best move here of un1, which is even better. He can follow up with PEE in this spot, or he can play Epee down here as well. So that is really good end game ability under duress if Nigel is going to play un1 through this end.
With 24 seconds left, he's got to get this down now. Come on, Nigel. He's not about to lose this game on a 10-point penalty, but
very nice.
Beautifully done. Beautifully found.
8 seconds left to make his follow-up play. He should be able to not go overtime. Jerry doesn't have any outplays. Nicely done by Nigel to find his optimal sequence under extreme duress. I'm always so impressed by that, Nits. I cannot do what he just did at all.
And games are tough. They are so tough. You don't just have to play with your own rack. You have to play with your opponents, too. You have to know what they have and what they are going to do next. And that means you're playing a game for 2. That is rough. And the game, I'm telling you right now, man, it's already tough as it is.
You're totally right. Mold is going to be the play for Jerry, and Nigel following up with his best. Oh, there we go. 1 second on the clock. It looked like his first button press didn't actually finish it off. But Epee for 26, he had another spot to play P for 26 right here, too. So there were 2 spots for those same letters to score 26 points. Nicely done. Nice. And that's going to do it for this game. Very, very action-packed game. Phonies, missed bingos, all kinds of strategic decisions, crazy setups. When all is said and done, it'll be Nigel's win. Not that Nigel, but a still very impressive Nigel Peltier, 487 to 364. I enjoyed that one, Nits.
I wonder if you just name your child Nigel, they're wont to always win Scrabble tournaments. I wonder if that's a thing. Is it just a charm that comes with a name?
It can't hurt, can it? I mean, if you're looking to have a great Scrabble playing child, there would be tough. It would be tough to think of a better. Maybe Richard. Richard, Ooh. Nigel, something. I think Nigel. It's a little scary to name your kid Nigel just because they're always going to live in that shadow. But I think Nigel Peltier has an extremely impressive resume in his own right that would stand up well against basically anybody in North America or the world, except for that pesky guy with the beard. So,
absolutely. And I think we should have David tournaments where everyone who's named David should come and play and see who's okay, who's the next David Gibson or the next Nigel, so the Nigel tournaments. You know how there was that one Josh championship where every guy named Josh came together into a field and beat the crap out of each other, just like that, except they were all friends. They did not actually hurt anyone.
There are a lot of Nigels, but why don't we cut to the board, Mike, now and see what they're talking about?
You gotta love the fishworks.
Then I hit 2 racks in the game where I had triple I's at this spot, and then later, then I got a triple I in the previous game. So I just didn't have those in the first several games. But I thought it was worth doing something to get rid of the K, and there was one chance in the world for Nirvanic. Had I actually not had to part with the A, I drew the letters to make Nirvanic. But I had an M instead of an A, so that didn't solve anything.
I was kind of banking on the tile pool was sort of bad, and so I was just I stopped playing. I was just going for points, at the second half basically. I wasn't really blocking any. I didn't realize how bad you were drawing.
This was a very nice way to look there and to notice that there's a way to do that. Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.
You get them edges, and those didn't fit, right?
Yeah, I didn't see a spot for anything else that I noticed.
So I had a CA with this. I later played Chagti.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But I didn't think of it till after I played BL.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'll justify it by making a good C play. No, I didn't actually do. That's 3 T's on that rack. Right? And retracted. You have to place each together. So I was wondering if you think the time IMG is taking the fortressing.
Oh, I mean, seems plausible enough.
Yeah, I didn't
know.
get that G.
I didn't think about that.
So I was thinking if it's a verb and I play a deer, which doesn't give this spot, I'm down. I think I need to have 2 spots, and I didn't think I was comfortable with fortress being a possibility.
It was close after fortress, and so
Yeah,
that would have been a nice
yeah.
get you back in it. But if you hit it.
Well, we'll find out later. Good game.
Nice game, Jerry.
Okay.
All right, maybe we could get back to the booth now as the players are going to submit their scores. That was kind of interesting, Nits, to hear. Jerry was thinking about fortressing when he placed that word in that spot, and maybe going for the J in a good spot. That's even more impressive that he chose that positioning there.
That's incredible. The foresight that comes with Fortress and placing it there, that's thinking 2-3 moves ahead. I think that's such a distinguishing factor of these great, great players that manage to make it onto your videos and make it onto your, YouTube channel. This was truly a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. That was fun to watch. Not a flawless game, but actually it's fun sometimes when the errors just make the game more exciting, like playing a phony that doesn't get challenged or missing a bingo. That's fun for us to watch. Not as fun as the players when you discover what you've done, but that was a lot of fun. So we've got one more game today. Wow, it's been a marathon. I'm going to curl up into the fetal position and fall directly asleep once this stream is complete. But we do have one more match coming up, and it is between the president of the Word Game Players Association and one of the top players in North America, Lori Cohen, against fellow expert player and mayor of Galesburg, Indiana, Peter Schwartzman. So we've got the Prez versus the mayor. What a matchup here between those two. Should be an exciting game between two really strong players. Nits, any final thoughts before we cut to a quick break?
I am just really pumped to see how this game goes down. Thanks so much for having me here, you guys.